All right, guys, welcome back to the show. Today, we're going to be covering the Texas Primary Runoff, the 23rd Congressional District primary results, as well as the other districts that have their runoff elections. So make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, make sure to go ahead and follow the Twitter and join the Discord in the description down below. And today I'm actually being joined by Connor K and Retaking the Nation as of right now. So you guys can go ahead and introduce yourselves really quick.
Hey,
Yeah,
everyone.
I'm retaking the nation. I do political and election analysis as well as geopolitical, religious analysis. So it's all encompassing political and geopolitical channel.
So we are currently waiting for the primary results out of this. Now, Retaking, what's your take on both candidates? Because from my understanding, Tony Gonzalez is the incumbent representative who is extremely anti-gun despite being in a very Republican district in Texas. And Brandon Herrea is actually a YouTuber who is very pro Second Amendment. And so I'm kind of curious to see your take on that right now.
Yeah, Gonzalez is very much Rhino-esque, I think, and we've been looking for someone to unseat him for a while. Or just get someone more conservative, especially as the Rio Grande Valley kind of moves to the right. So they definitely need someone better to represent that district than Tony Gonzalez. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, he's definitely not one of the better congressmen we have. But unfortunately, that's a lot of the Republican delegation is pretty weak.
Right. I mean, that is definitely true. And what's pretty interesting is, this district is very Republican, but can you kind of run me down on the results from last time? Because I actually don't exactly remember uh who I don't exactly remember what the results were. All I know is that Tony Gonzalez was close to getting 50%, but not exact. So if you could go ahead and fill me in on that, I would appreciate it because I actually don't remember the results.
like, like the 2022 result,
No,
or
like the 2020, like this year, like this result from like the result from March. Oh, look, actually they're right here. We could actually just pull it up right here. So Donald Trump, massive victory, got really good turnout in Texas, unlike Biden, where he actually lost a county to Frankie Lozada. Only one person voted in that county, and they got 100% of the vote there. And he was struggling, against Armando Perez Serrato, which is literally some weirdo crazy guy who's in southern Texas that you could even text and everything. Like people were texting his personal phone number that he put out there on his campaign site. We were just talking about some really crazy stuff, like talking about Nazis and a bunch of weird stuff. People were sending it in my Discord, and this guy got 30,000 votes against Biden in a primary, which is absolutely ridiculous. Even Cenk Uygur managed to get 16,000 votes. That's absolutely ridiculous. And so Biden underperformed in Texas. Donald Trump, on the other hand, he had a major party candidate, but and had the other candidates from the ballot as well that weren't able to kind of get rid of themselves. But I mean, other than that, that's pretty much it. You did have this one county. You had Kent County vote for Haley for some reason. Like you have a sea of red, and it was just that one county there. That looks like a tabulation error because it's kind of weird that all these counties would be red except for this one right in the middle. And then Travis, he was able to win that. He won Houston by a lot. He won all the southern border counties. So his base is more intact than Biden's base. Is in the state to begin with. And going into this, Ted Cruz completely bodied Trump, or not Trump, but completely just bodied the other Republicans here. He's the incumbent. He won every single county by a safe margin. Colin Allred, on the meanwhile, he got 60% of the primary vote here. And he lost a lot of southern Texas. A lot. Rolando Gutierrez, he managed to get 16% of the vote here. And he basically won a bunch of southern counties by the border. You really notice a lot of the mainstream Democrats are actually oh boy. The political chatter is in the chat. He says, "Let's go Gonzalez." Oh man.
well, you can't be an anti-gun, especially anti-gun congressman in Texas. I mean, isn't that just political suicide? I mean, that's pretty ridiculous that Gonzalez is that anti-gun.
Yeah.
Um, And the fact that Democrats are losing ground in the Rio Grande Valley, because they always point to, "Look at the Texas suburbs, look at the Texas suburbs." But it's like, you see the Rio Grande Valley is just, like, diving right off a cliff. It's like, you're not gonna win Texas for a very long time if that trend continues.
Right. And yeah, and you see what's actually quite interesting is that you notice Democratic candidates that are kind of traditional Democratic candidates that are kind of aligned with the Biden-esque side of the party, kind of like how Cullen Allred is. You notice they underperform in the border in the Texas primary by a pretty significant amount. Like it's really bad. And so that's not great either. And then when you look at the House, we can actually see where his race is. Let's see if we can find it. It's probably going to be over here. So show all. Let's see where it is. No. Here it is. So here is the result from last time. So Tony Gonzalez got 45% last time. Didn't even get over 50. Herrea managed to get 24% of the vote. And so the problem with this is it's a really big victory for Tony Gonzalez in his initial race. And a lot of the times, incumbents and candidates who usually win the first round by quite a bit, it definitely is a concerning sign for Brandon, but this was, from what I understand, this was kind of a long shot in the dark, sort of, and you did have a majority of the electorate, vote against Tony Gonzalez. So you probably have, Julia Clark, Frank Lopez, possibly, Brandon Herrera could get a lot of their votes, and Tony Gonzalez. I'm kind of curious. Do you know how much money he's actually spent on this race? Because I'm kind of curious. He got like around almost 26,000 votes here. Do you know how much money he actually spent for this?
Uh, let's see.
Connor K, what do you think about this so far?
To be honest, I haven't really been looking at this race all that much. I do know that Tony Gonzalez is sort of, you know, like has been repeated here, is not the best, congressman,
So
especially
it says
for the border region in Texas.
it's been 5 million in ad spending for this race. So talk about flushing money down a toilet.
What? Oh, wow. How much has Brandon spent?
Well, that's just total between the two.
Oh, but you
But
don't
I think
know.
Gonzalez has so Gonzalez has spent 4.3 million. Herrera spent 700,000.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Oh, that's not great either. I mean, money's not everything, but that's definitely not great. That's still kind of a bad sign, honestly. So, and if we notice, we really need to pay attention to Bexar County. I guess that's how you pronounce it. That's where the majority of the votes in this race actually come from. You can see Tony Gonzalez got 13,000. Brandon Herrera basically got 6,000. That's literally half the votes Brandon got. So that's a big county we're going to be looking at here. And that's kind of what I'm sort of thinking of right now. That's going to be a major county to look at. It's going to be really important to kind of see the margins in some of these western counties. Like if Brandon is starting to close the gap here, that's going to end up benefiting him quite a bit. Now, what retake? What do you think is going to happen with this race? Because Brandon Herrera is really pro Second Amendment, in this area, but he is not the incumbent congressman, and it's always very hard to defeat incumbent congressmen, especially even within Republican circles. It tends to be more difficult to do so. So, what do you think is going to end up going down in this race tonight?
I think he'll probably, unfortunately, lose by probably close to 10 or more. Based on what I'm seeing here, it seems that a lot of pro-Israel groups also dumped a lot of money into the race, and
Okay.
Herrera seems less pro-Israel than um, Gonzalez is. So there's some money backing that, and so I think a lot of people in Texas are going to be more susceptible to this sort of Herrera is not quote unquote pro-Israel enough, and so I think that messaging might play into maybe a 10-point Gonzalez victory. We're gonna have to see. We've seen stranger things, but you have the Israel lobby backing you. It's tough to lose.
That is true as well, and we do see, even though the majority of the electorate did vote against him, usually turnout in second rounds does lower. by a decent amount. That's usually how it is. And, Brandon Herrera really needs to rely on turnout in order to win this race. That's definitely something that we're going to be able to look at. We're going to be able to look at counties and kind of see, well, if 10% of the votes in and he's performing at this, he should be at this or whatever. So we'll be looking at monitoring some places. I'm assuming they're going to report from the east side of the district first, and then they're going to start reporting to the west side, which is a good thing because we'll get the major population center out of the way. And then pretty much once we get this out of the way, we'll be able to kind of see how that goes. Now, I think the race will be closer than the first round. I think that'll for sure happen, but I think as of right now, Tony Gonzalez unfortunately is favored to win the race. Brandon Herrera I think is gonna put up a good fight. However, I think Tony Gonzalez, he's outspending him way too much. Again, just like retaking mentioned, we do have this very big, Israel coalition kind of backing Tony Gonzalez for whatever reason. And despite Tony Gonzalez being very anti, pro gun in this district, and Brandon Herrera being the better option, in our opinion, I think Tony Gonzalez will possibly pull it out. I think it may be within 10, but I think Tony Gonzalez will edge out the race. But time will tell, and hopefully I can actually kind of get that right. Hopefully I can say it's going to be within 10, and hopefully I get that right, because this will actually probably end up being like my first true test. I had never really put out like too many predictions for the Republican primaries just because Trump was pretty much expected to win almost all the contests. So I didn't really do too many predictions for those. But I do think that Tony is going to unfortunately pull this one out. I think it'll be close, but I think Tony is unfortunately going to be able to pull out this race. So hopefully I get it correct. We'll see. And this is very last minute analysis. I'm sure if I, spent as much time and created some sort of model for it, which would have been hilarious if I would have done that, but that wouldn't have really would have taken a lot of time, and this was sort of a last minute
Well,
stream and stuff, but I think Tony will probably pull this one out, possibly by 8 or 7 points.
you see Herrera, he's at the AK guy on Twitter. So his whole campaign is basically about guns, which I think is pretty smart if you want to win a Texas district. So um,
And
I would
especially
say that's
that,
pretty solid.
and especially that district,
Yeah. This
especially
is
that.
not
Yeah.
Dallas or something. This is
No.
South Texas.
Yeah, so I think definitely I mean, is it possible he wins? I mean, yeah. I mean, Brandon could pull it out. I think it is possible, but I think it is going to be extremely difficult for him to be able to pull this one out. I think it's going to be very hard for him to do so.
You're outspent 5-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Usually when
know.
you're outspent
Just
five
have
to
to
one,
find out.
it's never a good sign. Especially, it's really not that great. And but guys, make sure to go ahead and hit the like button on the stream. We are going to be getting results in about like 15 minutes or so. So if you guys could go ahead and like the video and subscribe if you are new. Make sure to go ahead and follow the Twitter and join the Discord in the description down below. That would be absolutely great. I would definitely appreciate the support on that. So definitely go ahead and hit the like button. That does help us out with the algorithm. And I want a lot of people to tune into this race. So that would definitely help a lot of people see the stream, even more. And so we do have a couple minutes left, and while we have a few minutes left, maybe we could talk about 2024 really quick. Ready Go actually just put out a video talking about how Donald Trump, Republicans have actually increased, in voter registration quite significantly in certain states. If we actually go to his account, we're going to be able to see this, but he did post this, ever so slightly recent. We do see these huge, shifts. We see in Nevada, the Democratic advantage there is around basically is, D3264, 3 hold on 30,000 32,634, Democrat advantage there in the state. And the margin that was needed for Trump to win, according to this model, is right, it's like right there pretty much. And you see in Arizona, Republicans have basically doubled their registration vote lead. Now, Arizona may be iffy because, yeah, Republicans could be, registering. However, what kind of Republicans are registering. Are these like, the McCain types registering? Are these, MAGA first Republicans registering? Like, what could you be seeing there? I think this is a good sign for Trump, especially since it is Arizona that's had Republican DNA. If you look at Florida, that is huge. In Florida, the advantage was 97,000. Now it's 892,000 votes. So for people that saying, "Oh, Trump can't win Florida by 16 points," that my model claims, it's definitely within possible range if you're looking at this registration data, especially since Trump was able to win it by 3.5 in a year where Democrats were up by 100,000 in the state in voter registration advantage. If you look at North Carolina, that's been cut down in half, and Republicans essentially, they won it last time. So that's only going to expand their lead there. Pennsylvania, their registration lead has been cut in half. That's mainly due to the automatic voting registration that's been going on there that Shapiro put in. That was a humongous backfire. You do have Scott Presler there that's helping Republicans register in Pennsylvania. Iowa, the lead grew even more than what already was. So Republicans are essentially guaranteed a 10-point victory in the state almost no matter what. And if you look at New Mexico, the registration lead has been cut down by quite a bit. However, Republicans are still really short there, so it is concerning, but there is room for possibility for it to be competitive. And Nebraska's second, the registration lead has actually tripled there. However, margin needed for Trump lead, it says it's 22,000. Republicans only have an 8,000 change there. So that is a major concern for Nebraska's second. However, I do think that independents are going to heavily shift in Nebraska's second as of right now. So what do you think about these registration numbers? Because this is huge. What do you think about this? I'm going to start with Connor, and then retaking, you can go ahead and answer.
Yeah, so I think these numbers are huge, especially in states like Pennsylvania and North Carolina, which you could consider battlegrounds. Pennsylvania definitely more so. Um, but definitely just with the getting out the vote, or at least getting out there registering people. You mentioned Scott Presler, kind of like the grassroots movement that's taken root really in Pennsylvania for the most part. That shows that our efforts are working out there, which is important. It might motivate others to, you know, join in, with the work and help register people out there. Um, but also just in terms of the electoral college, obviously we need people to get out there and vote, flip Pennsylvania. And the reason that's so important is because Biden may need to win Pennsylvania. That I don't think that's
He's
really
for
all
sure going
that.
to need to win it because if Trump wins Georgia and Pennsylvania from his 2020 states, he wins with 270. So Biden definitely needs Pennsylvania in order to win. He 100% needs Pennsylvania. So
Yeah.
that for sure he
So yeah,
needs. Yeah,
yeah, and
100%.
that's
Yeah.
why the grassroots effort is so big down there
Right.
or up there,
Now,
depending on where you are.
right. Now retaking, what do you think about those numbers?
Yeah. I think Biden's cooked in Nevada. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
50,000 shift, and every poll shows like the Cook political report showed Trump up 7. Like I just don't see how Biden comes back from that. Like it was hella close in 2022. Republicans won another race there.
Yeah.
Adam Laxalt Bailey basically lost because of a snowstorm. So it's
Yeah,
like
basically, yeah,
to
pretty
me,
much.
I think Biden is cooked in Nevada. Um, Arizona, I'm still not sold on because I don't know who those Republicans are. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's so funny. There's people in my comments section who are like, "Oh, Florida, because the abortion thing's on the referendum or whatever, that Florida could be close." And it's like, how stupid are you? Like, Florida is not going to be nearly close. Plus 794,000. I mean, you have to be an idiot to think Florida's going to be close. But go ahead, spend money there, Biden campaign, because you'll regret every dollar you spend.
Oh no, yeah, they can spend as much money there as they want. We don't care. They can spend all their money there if they want, but they're not going to be able to win it with that voter registration disadvantage. They're not going to win it. Whoever's running his campaign there should be fired They should be fired because
No, they shouldn't.
Yeah.
They're doing a great job.
well, they're doing a great job for
No,
us,
no,
but
hey,
I'm just saying, like, realistically, I would fire their ass on the spot. If I was the Biden campaign, looking at the first thing they should have done was look at these numbers. I mean, hey, they can go ahead and do it as much as they want. Like, it's only going to help
yeah.
us. But at the end of the day, that is some terrible political maneuvers. And based out of reports
Iowa
today,
might
hmm?
Iowa might be R plus 20 with these numbers. Holy crap.
It definitely it could possibly get there. Now, do I think it's gonna be 20? Not necessarily, but I think my 16-point victory that my model projects is not that out of the realm of possibility. Looking at those voter registration numbers, is definitely not out of the realm of possibility. And just to run it down again, we'll actually look at RCP and see if anything's updated today because my model does kind of change based on that. We can see Biden's at 40. So basically 43.1 for Trump, and Biden's now at 40.3. So that puts him 2.8% over here, which brings us down a couple of points. And then if we go to here, Donald Trump is still up by 1.8 in the aggregate, but that may be updated later. So based on those results, Trump is currently winning Arizona by 7.5, which honestly, if all of these Republicans here are like MAGA types or people that are not voting for Biden, that's definitely within the realm of possibility. Now, it would have to
Yeah,
be
so
a.
can I speak on Arizona?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so about Arizona, I actually just looked at the updated approval numbers, and again, it depends on who the voter is in terms of are they Republican or are they like a MAGA Republican. I would love to see the actual demographic breakdown of whoever is getting registered, because I think the with the older votes in Arizona,
Hmm.
Biden's doing a lot better approval rise. Not that
Right,
he's doing well with them, he's
right.
doing a lot better.
Yeah,
But if those are like new registrants, like in maybe suburban Maricopa that or maybe college educated,
right.
like college graduate, not post grad, then that might be helpful to Trump.
All right. I'm gonna cut you off for a second. Tom Lee for 20 says, "Who do you think is gonna win here, Herrera or Gonzalez?" Thank you for the $20 donation. That was very much appreciated. But essentially, who do I think is gonna win? It's probably gonna end up being Gonzalez. Unfortunately, I think maybe he wins by about 8. I could say best case maybe not 20. I don't think it'd be a 20-point move. Maybe around 15 would be a best case. And worst case scenario for Gonzalez, Brandon Herrera maybe pulls it out by like a point, maybe 3. But that's about it. That's kind of the range. My range is probably Gonzalez plus 15 to Herrera plus 3. That's kind of what we're looking at in terms of range. But and I think that Gonzalez will probably pull it out by 7 or 8 points. That's like my political instinct. Again, this is a very last minute thing. Like I could definitely be wrong. I barely spent any time studying this race, but and we just hit 11.9 thousand subscribers. Only 100 left to go for 12,000. So I may actually do a separate stream after this, like just talking about 2024. So I may go ahead and do that later, but for now we're going to be focusing on the race, and we are very, very close to actually getting there. We are in fact extremely close. So let me go ahead and pull up Red Eagles voter registration stats. Once again, we're kind of going to leave those there, but essentially right now, if we look at my model, hold on, if we go ahead and look at my model, we'll basically see that New Mexico actually flips back to Biden. I don't know if you guys are paying attention. Hello.
Yep.
Okay, so essentially New Mexico goes back to Biden as of now. And it's really close. It's literally like 0.1%. It's really close. But as of right now, my model does have New Mexico going back to Biden in this scenario, but he still wins. I mean, he's winning somewhat easily. So, and let me pull up the results
Yeah.
here. We have about 3 minutes left until I'm going to also pull up all the other races because we'll definitely be looking at those as well. Illinois is still a Democratic win. Maine at large is still a Democratic win. New Hampshire actually still goes Republican. So does Nebraska, second, and Minnesota. So does the Rust Belt. North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada. So that puts Trump at 327 electoral votes as of right now. So this is what my model currently has.
New Hampshire goes red, but Virginia goes blue.
That's what it's showing. And what I actually did to improve the model was I actually calculated an elasticity score for every single state. So basically, like how prone a state was to shift like by a greater amount, compared, to the full range. So I think the biggest shift would be like 9.4, and then you had 2.4 being the biggest Republican shift. So that basically puts everything in. Oh, well, actually it was 2.7, so that number may be wrong, but it's around there. And so it basically tracks like how likely a state was to actually move. And so that is calculated, that's put into the model right here. And so that reflects some of the results over here. And it basically, like, it made like the results make a little bit more sense. Like if you had Wisconsin plus 10, Minnesota would have been like tilt Democrat. Like that doesn't make any sense. But now you have like R plus 9 Wisconsin on the model, and you have Minnesota being a 1.5 percentage point victory, which kind of makes a little bit more sense. Like the trends were corrected a little bit in this. So I think that did improve some of the model. And the results are literally about to start in 55 seconds. But I'm going to run down this really quick. Minnesota, 1.5 point win for Trump. And Wisconsin here is projected at 9.6, but this is something interesting. I'm going to pull up 538 really quick and retaking. I think you're going to find this pretty interesting, actually. You know, would you agree that the 9.6 percentage point victory in Wisconsin, like, does seem really large?
Yeah, that's pretty bullish. Wisconsin's going to be close no matter what. It's going to be within a few
Well,
points no matter
what I'm
what.
actually going to show you is that there is a statistical chance for that to happen. If we go now, again, the 2020 polling errors may not occur again. However, if we look at the aggregate right now for Trump, he's ahead by 1.6. In 2020, 538 had Joe Biden leading by 8.4 percentage points. And so that is around a 7.8 percentage point miss in favor of Biden. And so if you were to add that to the current aggregate, Trump would be winning Wisconsin by 9.4. And if you went to RCP and you saw the third party lead, he's up by 0.7. And if you apply the 2020 polling error, which was 6 points, he'd be up by 6.7% in the state. So, and I honestly don't see why the polling error wouldn't, as of right now, I don't see why the polling error wouldn't occur again. Now, is it
Well,
going to be
2022 would be a good example of that.
well, 2022, yeah,
Because
you did have a
I mean,
very, you did have overestimation of Republicans, but I think with Trump on the ballot, I think it's more unlikely that that's actually going to occur. I mean, it could be maybe only a couple point error instead of, a huge error, but my model is taking into account that there has been historical polling error, but my model is not accounting for, I don't have something programmed in here to where it shifts the state by 5 because the polling error from 2020 was this amount. Like, I don't have that in here. It just looks at the trends. It looks at the swing from 2016 to 2020, looks at the results, looks at the polling average. Demographic pools are also played into a factor as well. And so that's what's kind of pushing the state. It just so happens to be if you apply the 2020 polling error to the current aggregate, you do get a result similar to my model. So am I gonna go out here and say that this is guaranteed to be correct? No, I don't think so. But it there is definitely some realm of possibility for this. Even New Hampshire, the current aggregate has Biden up by 2.7 if you average out the latest polls, and the polling error there was 3.8%. So if you were to apply that, Trump would actually be up in the state by more than what my model even predicts. So there is some possible room for speculation. Now, let's go ahead and look at chat really quick. So we see here right now 3 minutes left. Yeah, of course. Did you hear that Cook Political Report moved North Carolina governor from lean D to toss up? I mean, that's more accurate. Now, do I think Mark Robinson is guaranteed to win? To be honest, if Trump is winning by the margin that I have him winning by, probably will, but we'll see. Now, let me go over. We're going to go switch over to the results as of right now for the primary. The polls have just closed there. And we see Craig Goldman is already up on John O'Shea by literally 30 points, and 22% of the vote is already in. So, more than likely seems like Craig Goldman is going to end up winning that primary runoff. Those are the only results that we have in thus far from the primary. That is from the 12th congressional district of Texas as of right now. So it seems like Craig Goldman is going to more than likely advance. It hasn't been projected yet, but it does seem more than likely that that is going to be the case. And we are currently waiting some results out of here. However, some results may end up coming out later, especially since, this is, kind of the first areas that tend to report in Texas. You do see, the northeastern side of Texas does tend to report first. And actually, we have results out of the 31st district. We see that Stuart Whitlow is ahead by around 50 points against Brian Walbridge. So more than likely, Stewart's probably going to end up pulling that one out as well. Those are the only results we currently have in so far. We are going to be moderating the results for this election as of right now. Again, my projected estimate is Gonzalez by 7 or 8. Hopefully I get that right, because that would be pretty cool if I end up getting that correct. However, it is a very last minute discernment, just based off of all the data and everything and all the politics surrounding that as of right now. And so let's go ahead and look at chat really quick. We see polls are closed. Rhino win. Okay. What are you guys' thoughts so far? So, do you guys feel like you guys are pretty confident that Gonzalez is going to end up pulling out this race?
I don't see any indicators that Herrera can win, but I mean, stranger things have happened, but the money, all the factors point to that, unfortunately. But
Right.
maybe high turnout, high, you know,
I mean, yeah,
gun
possibly if turnout
sympathy.
if right, if turnout is high, then there is a possibility. There definitely is, but I think right now Tony is favored to win, unfortunately. But you know, that's what it comes with this. There's results sometimes that you don't like, sometimes you get results that you like, and just it is what it is. So that would suck if you get your Gonzo prediction right. I guess he meant Gonzalez. I mean, it would suck because I don't want Gonzalez to win, and a lot of people here don't want him to win. But I mean, it would just be good for me because this would be my first true test to see how accurate I can possibly get a race, accurate or not. So we'll see what happens. And again, this is a very last minute discernment, so please don't hold me to a very high standard. Like, hopefully, if I get it wrong by off a few points, or if her actually wins, don't like. I really hope I don't have 100 people in sub. That would be kind of annoying. The 2024 election is different because I've literally done an entire spreadsheet on this. So, I mean, if I get this wrong, I mean, there must be some serious miscalculations that I have. But again, I'm still experimenting with this model. I'm not saying it's going to be 100% accurate, but I have at least built one, which most people don't have. And of course, a lot of people may not have the time for it, but I'm very into the numbers and trying to get things right as much as I possibly can. It does seem like Daryl Day is ahead by quite a bit. Only 9% of the vote, which is not that much, but it does seem like Daryl Day does have the advantage over David Bellet as of right now. So that's what you are seeing here. There's even a state of board education race, and it seems like Maynard is ahead, just about 8 points in the 10th district. And then here you see a really close race, in the 12th district, actually. You see Little literally just ahead by around 0.8 percentage points. So that is interesting. Is 16% of the votes in, so that race could be close. Do you know anything about these other candidates? Both of you guys, by any chance, do you guys know? Um,
I don't live in Texas, so
oh,
this is
okay,
getting
well,
pretty uh specific.
well, fair enough. I mean, that's
Yeah. What
fine.
do you, do you think what do you think Clark County's final totals will be in
In
2024? Do you think Trump will win?
I mean, right now, my model has him winning it by 9.9. So I feel like,
Clark
I mean,
County.
no, not the Clark County. No, 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 not Clark County, the state.
Okay, what do you think Clark County would be?
So, I mean, if you were to shift this and give Trump a 9-point victory in the state, so let's go here really quick and kind of give him that, he would actually end up pulling it out and he would win it by 2. And that's with you uniformly shifting the state. I actually think that Clark County is going to trend to the right, compared to before. And what's actually funny is that if I go over here, I have another model, where I actually track every single county individually in like the closer states. I haven't done this for every state, and I kind of need to work on these and improve them. But essentially, with the current data, so Biden has a minus 29% approval rating in the state. The RCP average is 5.3, and Trump's ahead by like 1.8% in the popular vote as of right now. That's 6% to the right of 2020. And so Trump's ahead by 5, according to this. And this literally tracks every single county and literally looks at the swing and the trend of every single one. And it uses the same formula from my other one. Now, it doesn't exactly use the exact same one. I'm going to have to update this formula for all these county maps, anyways. And so it does give me a 5-point victory here as of right now. That's currently what it's showing me. And I did the
Right,
2020
so
results.
they got some results, and why don't you look at the Texas
All right,
results?
so here we go. So Tony Gonzalez is ahead by 20 points as of right now with 33% of the vote in. We do see that, he is ahead by 20 points in Bexar County. I said that this was already going to be a really the place where most of the candidates are going to get most of their votes. And it seems like already 95% or more of the votes already counted. And he's ahead by 20. If we go ahead and look at the previous result, we probably will see. I think he was actually up by more than that. So let's go ahead and see what the margins were there. Um, Tony Gonzalez was ahead there by a little bit more than 20. He was ahead there by around 23 percentage points, and he's only ahead by 20. So it it is concerning that he's behind by 3 points, but and actually they updated it's only 80% of the vote, so maybe Brandon gets to kind of go ahead, but Brandon's actually already leading a county, Terrell County. He's actually up here by a couple of points. He's up there by around 20 something points. However, if we look at this county, you did see some slightly higher turnout there, but all the votes haven't been counted yet. It's half the votes have been counted. And Brandon Herrera is actually about to beat his original vote total in this county. He was at 49 votes here with 100% of the vote in. And as of right now, he's at 48% with 53%. He's at 48 votes with 53% of the vote counted. So again, 26% of the votes have been tallied in this race. And that's mostly due to Bexer being in. So if he wants to have a shot at pulling this out, he's going to have to really run it up in the west side of this Texas district, which is exactly what I've said before. This is where he's going to have to run up the score in order to really, basically get that margin up. He's going to have to really run it up there in order to even have a chance at winning. But again, it does seem like he is going to possibly end up losing this race. It seems like the District 7 race is really close. Only 23 votes separating both candidates as of right now in the 7th Congressional District. It's a really close race there. And then we have District 12 again, Craig Goldman's up by quite a bit. District 23rd, Tony Gonzalez is up by about 20 points. District 28, we do have Jay Furman up by around over 30 points. And District 29, we have Garza being up by around 12, around there, maybe 13, just off the quick math. All right, Connor, have a good one, man. Retaking, it's
Yep,
just
you
you
too.
and me now. Hello?
It's gonna be just you soon. I gotta go soon, but
Oh, perfect. Alrighty
I
then.
want to see a few more results.
Yeah, well, okay, right now, Daryl Day's up, Steven Wright's up, but we are basically here for this race. It says it's 26% of the votes in. So, but turnout's definitely down, which isn't good for Brandon at all. Turnout is definitely down, because if we look over here at this county, 20,000 votes were reported here. Now it seems like only 8,000 were reported. However, a lot of Tony's votes did come from this district. And so right now it's still too early to call. Technically, because I mean, Tony did have a quite significant drop, actually, even more so than Brandon. Brandon only lost half his voters. Tony lost over half. So you did see Tony lose a little bit more votes than Brandon did. So based off of the results so far, you do have Tony definitely underperforming his totals, but Brandon also is, but Tony is also underperforming quite significantly. However, Tony does have a very high floor to underperform. So that's what I've talked about before. He definitely
Where's your New York Times needle at? Where what are you thinking?
my New York Times needle at, I'd say right now he's up by 20, which is more than I thought, but based off of this result right here from this district, I'd say that my maximum victory of him being ahead by 15 is definitely possible. Now, Brandon, I think he could pull it out, but barely. Like, I'd say maybe 2 points at most. He's going to have to really run it up here. He's going to have to get really dictator margins here. Once we get a couple more counties here, I'm going to be able to update that, my mental swingometer. But I think Brandon being ahead by 15, being the max victory, does seem very possible. That does seem like a very big possibility. Now, 30% and 47% of the votes been counted here. Brandon got they both got way more votes here. They got way more votes. So turnout is down there, 100%. But it seems like Tony's going to be performing better in the east side of the district, while Brandon's probably going to outperform in the west side of the district. And El Paso is all the way over here. And if we go to that district, there was some decent amount of vote chunks there. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But definitely, I think Tony is still favored to win the race as of right now, but things could change, and it's still too early. But once they do report the next batch, I'll probably be able to discern who's going to end up picking this off.
Everyone's dooming on Twitter.
Oh, I'm Brandon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's expected. Everybody sees the first results and they're like, "Oh no!" And there's still like 70+% of the results in. Kind of reminds me like Georgia in 2020. Everybody was super like, "Oh my God, Trump's ahead by 10," and then he ended up losing. So,
Yep.
not
With
gonna lie,
Arizona.
if my model is correct for 2024, the initial results are gonna look nuts. Like the initial like vote dumps results are gonna look crazy if my model actually holds up. Because if my model holds up, if these margins end up coming true, Trump's going to be ahead in Arizona by like 18 in the middle of the night before the mail-in votes get counted. Like he's going to be up by quite a bit. Like you may see some similar red mirage kind of occur and Trump may be ahead by quite a bit. So that definitely is something that could possibly happen. I'm going to be reading chat now. Really quick so we can't see Herrera's won a county after 4 years of let's go Brandon is the best thing for Trump. Herrera hasn't won a county yet. It's only 50% in. Jeez, the wheeze. Yeah, sadly, I believe Herrera's done. I'm gonna. Okay, all right. Not looking good for Herrera. You're competing with rep and rap streams. Well, I mean, I'm not necessarily competing against them. I mean, rep is my friend. But I'm just kind of reporting my results on my end, just because I think I can give my own unique analysis on this, and this is a really important race to cover. So, again, only 26% in. How are you feeling? You still think that Tony's probably favored to win?
Yeah, I mean, plus 15 probably. I mean, these races are weird, but doesn't look. Brandon needed a better initial dump, I think, if he wanted to win. Need to be closer to like 55-45.
Okay. Well, I think, well, it depends because 80% of the vote is in Bexar. There's still 20% left for reporting. And if Brandon improves there, like if he gets that county, like if there's another dump there and he improves, oh, okay, we do have more votes now. So now they added 1% and Gonzalez, I think it was a wash essentially, but They did report some results out of Jeff Davis County, and oh, did he leave? I think he did leave. Yes, he left. So they did actually report some results from Jeff Davis. If we look at the results last time, Tony was at 285, and it does seem that he's probably going to outperform his vote totals. I mean, maybe the final results do have Brandon Herrea coming in. Now, Brandon Herrea did actually outperform his original vote totals here. So maybe this county does get closer. Maybe they just kind of reported some initial results. Maybe it does get closer. But again, it does seem like Tony is going to be heavily favored to win this. And if we look here, we see, Tony ahead by, almost 20. We have District 12, Craig Goldman, he's up by quite a bit. We have Kenneth is now up on Caroline Kane here. So that's a really close race for whatever reason. And here, Alan Gazar is up by 10 with 9% in. The Democrat Stewart is up by quite a bit, so that's probably gone. Daryl Day, more than likely, well, it's still early, but more than likely, Daryl Day probably ends up holding on. Steve Wright, he'll probably end up pulling it. Well, actually, no, it has gotten a little bit closer, so maybe that does change. Oh, well, he just actually increased, and now he's up by over 5 there, so. And we see still at 27%, Tony Gonzalez is at 5,000 votes. And with 8,519 votes in, we could actually kind of do estimated turnout projections. So if around 8,000, 500 votes are in, and that's about, 27% of the votes counted, what would be, a complete, estimate total? So the turnout based on my math is estimated to be about 31,000 votes. That's the fully estimated turnout from the race. Last time, 57,000 votes were reported. But if you actually look on a more deeper level, it does seem like Tony is underperforming a little bit more than Herrera is actually. Like if you're really looking at this, as of right now, even though the dumps do look good for him, he's still technically underperforming more than Herrera is. And Herrera is actually ahead in the county right now. So again, it's still early. Once we get above 50%, we'll probably be able to discern, who's actually winning and who's not. That will be a little bit more apparent as of right now. But as of now, it still seems like, Tony may be favored to win this. Make sure to go ahead and like the video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new. Make sure to follow the Twitter and join the Discord in the description down below. As of right now, that would be really, really appreciated, and we can get this stream out on the algorithm. As of right now, we do see, again, he's up by quite a bit and almost 33% of the votes in. And the estimated turnout, according to my end, is around 31.5K votes. And so we have more results, and Herrera has improved. It did only add a slight total. But it does seem like Gonzalez is ahead. And it was Uvalde County actually pulled in here, and it's interesting because this is the county where that incident did occur, in the elementary school, and so you may see that Tony may actually be doing good here because of that, and so that is interesting. He did get 1,500 votes there, and it does seem like he is underperforming. However, only half the votes in, so we'll kind of have to wait and see on that county, but again, the results are still not looking great for Brandon. Now, I think Brandon may do better in West Texas. That's kind of why I based my my victory of around 8 points for Gonzalez off of. I may be slightly wrong, but at least I'm gonna predict a winner, right? At least I didn't go out there and say, "Oh, Brandon's gonna win by 10 points." Like, at least I didn't say that, because that would have been pretty bad. Rip to everybody who died on the incident. Yes, 100%. And so we're still waiting for more results. It's still early, less than 50%. And there is no needle here, so we don't have any other exit polling data to really be able to discern what happens there. Again, the close race is, basically the same thing. Michael Rodriguez did catch up a little bit, but Steve Wright does seem to hold the momentum. Allen's still up by over 10. Jay Furman's up by 50 points now, a little bit over. This is a 20-point victory so far for Gonzalez. However, I do expect this to narrow up. We do see Craig Goldman up by around 30 still, and we see Kenneth up by around 3 points as of right now. I wonder what Red Eagle and Rep are saying about this. Um, and it's funny because I guarantee you, Let's Talk Elections and these Democratic, commentators are going to say, well, look, you see MAGA candidate Brandon Herrea is going to lose to, super moderate Tony Gonzalez. Oh, Trump's going to underperform in Texas because of this. But again, guys, this is a district election where the incumbent congressman who's been there for a long time outraised his opponent basically 4-1. So that's kind of the thing. Like, you're not talking about a super even playing field. It is a very lopsided field. So even if Herrera only wins by 10, oh, well, we do have more results, and Herrera gained about a point. 33% of the vote is in now. And Brandon's ahead there by about 30 points. That county, if we go here, that county voted for Gonzalez by 6. And right now, it is a 30-point victory for Brandon Herrera with just a couple of the votes in. So that's interesting. So that did narrow the race up by like a point or so. But that is a big victory, and only half the votes in there, and hopefully Brandon improves. That could definitely give more to his vote total. So I do expect him to do better here. I kind of think Tony's possibly going to win Jeff Davis, but I think the place that I thought he was going to outperform quite a bit was West Texas, and we do see that he is, even in Jeff Davis. For example, that was a bigger victory than it was even here. Here was like a 20, what was it, a 24-point win? Now it's seems to be only like a 20, it's like a 22, 23-point victory here. So he's like underperforming slightly in this county. So we do see him doing better. In Pecos County, Tony Gonzalez is up by 50 votes. And we see here that Tony was winning by way more, actually. He was winning by 22 points here. And Brandon is only down by 19 or 18 points, actually, here. So it is a big difference. Like, you do see him outperforming in West Texas by a pretty significant amount compared to before. And a lot of the votes that, did comprise of other candidates getting a decent amount of the vote. And what's actually quite interesting is that you look at these, I'm expecting, him to win Jeff Davis, especially since, he was at 49. I think he's going to hold on to Reeves. I think he's going to hold on to Pecos. He got 56%. Turnout is way down. My estimated turnout's about 31,000, and we can actually go ahead and redo it again. So we can go ahead and redo it really quick. So let's see if it has changed. So around now 33% of the votes in. We are at 10,000 or so votes. It's still around 31,000. It seems like it's gone up, slightly a little bit higher. So turnout's gonna probably be around 31,000 votes or so. That's kind of what we're looking at based on that. It's also going to be really easy for me to project states on election night, because if I see that turnout is up or down, like depending on that, it's going to definitely give me a range of as to, how well Trump is likely to win a state per se. So that's definitely something we'll be looking at. Tony once again is up here by about a little bit over 18 points right now, and I said he would win by 8 or 7. So if I'm off by 10, it is what it is. At least I got the winner right. A lot of these races are really hard to predict either way. And I really didn't even have time to look at this county map too much. If I really had time to look at this, I would probably be able to discern a little bit better. But it's still early, at least to see what the final margin is going to be, especially since we don't have a lot reported out of here. 80% of the vote is still in here, so we are seeing a little bit of a Herrera outperform in West Texas, and even to an extent here, now Uvalde, he may not, overperform. And you do see Baxter County, he's even overperforming, because this county was a 23-point win for Tony Gonzalez. Now he's only up by 20. and Brandon Herrea may or may not improve with the last vote dump, and that's going to be important. That county is going to be an important county for Brandon to improve. And if he gets that within 10, like if the next vote dump has him within 10, or if he at least improves, his chances of winning could go way higher. But as of right now, I literally have my mental swingometer. Literally, his best case scenario could be winning it by like 1 or 2 points. Probably he'd have to get like ridiculous, like the next vote dumps for him in these counties would have to be ridiculously well. He'd have to be within like 10 of Jeff Davis, and like within basically almost winning Pecos County in the next vote dump to probably even have a shot at winning. So his window of winning is really, really close. It's very, very narrow. Depending on the next vote dump, I may actually be able to project the race already. So I will go ahead and project it once I am ready to go ahead and do so. Let's see if we could beat New York Times to this. But already around 33% of the votes already been counted. So that is something that we see there. 100%. We do already see around 33% of the vote is already accounted for. Sir Flame a lot is in the chat. What is up, man? How are you doing? Let's see how many people tune into the stream so far. It says that we have around 30 people in here, which is great. Almost about 500 of you guys tuned in, so that is awesome. Thank you so much for the support, guys. I do greatly appreciate that. As of right now, we are currently waiting for more results out of this race, but it does seem more than likely that Biden is more than likely, or excuse me, not Biden. Gonzalez will probably end up outperforming in this district as of right now. It is not looking great. I see Rep is covering some of the results. I'm probably going to look at his commentary in a second, and possibly when the winner's projected, I may end up actually, I may end up leaving. So it depends. We'll see, but I may end up leaving after the winner's projected. But we'll let the results kind of come in. Holmes says I'm gonna hang out in here for another hour. Well, I may not even be streaming for another hour, so let's see. It would be better if Homie Herrera was winning. I mean, yeah, it would be better, but hey, this was gonna be a really hard race for him to win anyway. It would have been incredibly impressive for Brandon to be able to pull this off, considering the political basically the implications of this. It would have been crazy if he would have been able to pull it out. But I don't think he's going to be able to as of right now. I mean, he could, but we'll see. Still a little too early. Sir Flame a lot says, "Let's go, Brandon." I'm gonna go ahead and get out of this call now, so it's not taking up memory on my computer. We had a couple people unsubbed. There's no way people actually unsubbed because I'm gonna be like 10 points off. That's hilarious. What is your confidence level in your 2024 general predictions? I mean, it's still far out. You still have a lot of time left to go, but I'd say that my model is reasonably within range of what could happen. Like, it could be off by a couple points in every state, and Trump wins maybe 312. Maybe he picks up another state, like possibly. He picks it up. I mean, that could be something where the model's off by a couple points in every state. However, did you have a prediction on this race before today? No, I didn't. I actually didn't have a prediction for this race before today, so that's kind of the thing. I kind of literally just gave out my prediction like right now. We do see more votes have come into some of these races. Jay is still ahead. Stewart's ahead. Here Steven is still ahead here by a couple points, so we do see that he's already ahead by a pretty decent amount. The math I'm getting is similar to on points in my model. Well, what model are you using? And what's actually quite interesting is that we can even pull up, like, let's go ahead and actually even pull up the demographic, model as of right now. Like, let's go ahead and actually pull this up because this can give a lot of credence, to my, forecast. What's quite interesting is that like 18 to 29-year-old voters, I expect this margin to go down for Biden by a couple of points, but he probably ends up winning it by 16. 30 to 44. I still think Biden pulls them out, but I think it'll be closer. 45 to 64. It could be a little bit better for Trump. And 65 plus, I think, goes down for Trump by a few points. College educated, I think it goes down for Biden, but it's probably still a 17-point win, 16-point victory for him. I think the male vote does go up for Trump. I think the female vote does go to Biden, though. And you do see non-college educated voters do improve, so that puts Trump at 323. Under 30K, I think it goes up for Democrats. 30 to 60K, you probably see Republicans do a little bit better. 60 to 100K, Republicans probably improve. And if you look at 100K or more, I expect Biden to gain with that demographic as of right now. Maybe by about 9 points, we could see that. And then with black voters, Biden is probably only winning that demographic by, 70. White voters are probably shifting away, from the Republican Party just up by a couple of points, and Hispanics are probably going to improve for Biden by a little bit in this scenario. I could see it being within a couple points. Black voters, you see the margin possibly go down a little bit more. And so essentially, you do have a race where Trump is getting 318 to 220. He's winning the popular vote by 5. And so that is currently what is being shown here. And New Hampshire and Minnesota are very competitive. It actually did show my current result just a second ago. So if we look at this, the really close states, we see Wisconsin's almost a likely margin. Pennsylvania is likely. New Mexico is like a 5-point win for Trump. He's winning that really easily, actually. Michigan, 5-point victory. Minnesota is basically within a point of flipping. Virginia is within a point of flipping. So that is interesting. We do have more votes. We have more votes, and Herrera gained about a point. He did gain another point. It's 42% of the votes in. If we look, they have not reported more votes out of Bexar County. They haven't reported it, and it's still 80% in, so that may be better. 33% of votes in Dimmitt County. Brandon's ahead by literally 8 votes. 33% of the vote is in there. Herrera lost this by 7, and now he's up by 30 there, so that's a big difference, even though turnout could be down. Sutton, Tony's up there by 4 with 58% of the vote in, and Tony won that by a lot, actually. He ended up doing way better there. And Brandon is up by 30 points here. He lost it by 6. So Brandon is making really big gains in some of these counties. He is making big gains. Now, I don't think they reported any results out of here. Oh, you see San Antonio. That makes sense. That's probably why they are voting for Tony. I mean, it kind of makes sense. Now the race did narrow up. The race did actually narrow up so slightly, so I can't even project it yet because Brandon's window possibly opened up to a 2-point victory, 3-point win now because those gains were a little bit better than I expected. Size by lead, you see, this is where most of the votes are coming from. This is where most of the votes are coming from. But Brandon did improve marginally, and Brandon lost less voters here than Tony did. Like, Brandon only lost like 3,000. Tony lost like 7,000 voters there. So Tony's enthusiasm here, he's probably going to pull it out because he's an incumbent congressman, but his enthusiasm here compared to before is significantly lower. It is way lower than before. It is significantly lower. So again, we'll see what happens. Definitely Herrera's definitely outperforming in West Texas. That is what I said. I said that he was going to do a lot better in the western part of the district, and that does seem to hold up. And right now, if we were to actually look at that margin, he would be up by 16.4. And I said that Brandon would be winning by 8. And based off of how Brandon's been performing, he'll probably do decent in some of these counties. He may narrow the gap a little bit. So maybe Brandon Herrera pulls it out by 12, maybe 11. And I said Brandon, I said Tony maybe pulls it out by 12, 11, maybe 10. And I said he would win by 8. That wouldn't be that off. That wouldn't be too off. So we'll see. Okay, so more votes have come in, and Herrera's margin has expanded ever so slightly once again. Reeves County, 32% of the vote is in, 56 to 44. This county voted for Gonzalez by way more, like a lot more. Wow, that's a big difference. He won that county by how many points? 34. And right now, he's only up there by like 12. So it's a big difference. Now, again, way less votes, but margins do matter in some of these. This county, Brandon's up there by like 22 with half the vote in. And again, they haven't even reported anything out of Bexar. And if Herrera can narrow up that gap, you could see the race get close. This county, half the votes in. Brandon Herrera's up there by 22. That district voted for Tony by like 20 points. So you are seeing Herrera outperform here quite significantly. You are seeing Herrera outperform quite a bit. Now, some counties haven't reported that are closer to, San Antonio. So maybe, Tony does kind of offset those gains there. But right now, the current margin would be 15.8%. So that 7 or 8 point win that I suggested may be closer to reality than expected. Herrera did gain a little bit more. Where did those votes come from? Where'd that even come from? I actually don't even know where that came from. Okay, I think it came from Terrell County. I think those gains came from Terrell. They haven't reported anything out of Bexar yet. And I think those gains did come out of Terrell County. 78% of the votes there. Herrera got 49 votes there. He's at 76 votes. He's at 76. So he's at 76 votes. Tony is at 38 with 78% of the vote, and Tony was at 74 himself. So I think Brandon's going to end up picking off that county there. I think he's possibly going to pick it off. We could pull up the map in Texas, which would be pretty cool to do, actually. We could pull up the county map there and possibly fill this out. So essentially, if we go down here, we could kind of fill it out, sort of. Let's actually see if there's... Yeah, they're roughly the same as of right now. I think these are the counties that are currently coming in. I'm going to basically put blue for Tony, and then Brandon's going to be red, essentially. Because that's effectively what the colors are as of right now. For the sake of the video, that's basically what we're going to do. So I'm basically going to kind of draw out like an estimated county map. Brandon, is currently leading in these. Tony's ahead in these as of right now. You do have Tony ahead in a couple of counties here as well. Let me see. Where is that? I guess that is San Antonio right there. I think it is that one, actually. I think it is possibly these counties. And you see Herrera up in this one, and then right now Tony is up here. Now, if I kind of had to do an estimated map per se, I'd say maybe if we look here at the previous results, which I ended up getting rid of them. Let's go down here and look at those results. If more results come, just like update me and I'll go back to the other screen. But in this county, El Paso, he was up by 13. So I'd say that Brandon probably picks that county off. I'd say he picks off the El Paso County. I think here, Tony was up here by a couple of points. He was up here by about 14-ish, maybe 15 points. So you could see Brandon pick that one off too. Again, he was up here by about 24. I could see Brandon picking that one off possibly. And these are 20 points. Brandon probably picks these off too. Now they're going to be close, but I think he could possibly pick those off. And we do see, you know, close victories in some of these. So I'd even say now Brandon's probably not going to win Reagan because he did really bad there. He did especially bad here. So maybe he doesn't end up picking off that one. This county was a really big win for Tony, so maybe Tony does hold on to that one. This was a big win here. Now that one's a little bit harder because it's within the 30-point range and it's very low turnout. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that Herrera probably pulls it out. Maybe he does pull it out as of right now. And Terrell, you know, that was a big victory there, and Herrera is up there now. Valverde, we'll see right here. He's up barely anything, so Herrera probably pulls that one out too. Reagan County. Did I fill that out? Yeah, I did. This county over here, which is Edwards County, Tony was up here by quite a bit. Maybe Herrera pulls that one out too, possibly. We could see that happen. This was really close, but Herrera was down, but it's within range, so maybe Brandon pulls that one out too. And then you see Maverick possibly. I think Maverick maybe stays with Tony. Possibly. I think you'd see that. And then we go over here, and I think that's about it. That's basically about it pretty much. And then the last county, Tony was only up here by a couple points. Maybe you see Brandon pull this one out. And then that's about it. So this is my projected county map as of right now. Maybe I should use the correct colors, so we'll put Tony as red. We'll put him as a certain red color, and then we'll put Brandon as yellow, just for the sake of the video, just so the results kind of match, and we'll see how accurate my map was compared to the actual results. We'll see how accurate my map is when this is completely finished. I may end up doing a video on this or posting a screenshot tomorrow to see how accurate my county map was. Tony literally got on CNN and called everyone he didn't like a Nazi. Voting for him is embarrassing. We're still waiting for more results, but it does seem like it is going to take a second there. This is my projected county map for the race as of right now. Again, you know, Tony had a big victory here. I'm going to go ahead and pour myself some water really quick. So I will be back shortly. So give me 1 second. I'm going to put you guys on hold here, but I will be right back. Just give me 1 second really quick. All right, guys, we are back for more results as of right now. It seems like nothing has updated exactly just yet. Everything is still exactly the same as it was about a minute and a half ago. Again, okay, well, more results are coming in. Herrera literally gained like a tenth of a point, and we see Reagan. He's up. He's up in Reagan by about 4, which is what I have on the map so far. So he is ahead in Reagan, but he's only up by 4. So maybe Herrera overtakes it. Maybe I'm wrong, but we'll see. I mean, this is kind of my map. Like, if I'm thinking Herrera's going to lose by 8, this is probably what the map looks like. So if he ends up taking the lead in Reagan and some of these red counties, then you could see Herrera possibly pull this out. But I think more than likely Tony's got it. I'm going to look at chat. So see really 6 Gonzalez 15 plus 4. I'll probably tune into that stream you do later today at 12k. Well, I might do like a road to 12k stream in a little bit. We'll see when they project the winner as of right now. So we're going to be just waiting really quick. Oh, now it's only 40% of the vote reported. So now only 40% of the votes in. They just changed it. So that means they're probably expecting more votes to come in, which is a good sign for Herrera. That's a good sign, but I mean, it's not gonna. I don't really think it's gonna make that much of a difference right now. And 14,266 votes have been reported. We're gonna calculate what the total turnout would be. So now it's around 35,000. So that's what the final turnout's looking like now. So supposedly they ended up finding about 4,000 extra votes somewhere. Uh, it is normal for them to kind of go back and forth on the percentage change, like that is happening. So that is definitely something we're going to be looking at. But as of right now, it does seem, I still think Gonzalez is favored to win. It would be awesome if, Herrera does pull this out, especially since he is more of a pro-gun, Republican, especially in a place like Texas. This is it's very interesting that he is ahead. 55, Cedal, howdy from Lawrence, Kansas. Hello, how you doing? Elevator music is such a nice touch. Um, So yeah, we are still waiting on more results. As of right now, it is still, it's going to be possibly long results. We'll check on the other ones for now just to kind of see how they're doing. So let's pull up new results, and we see that, Kenneth is still ahead by 3. Craig is up by almost 30 points. Or actually, I think, well, yeah, it's almost 30. Tony's up. I wonder what that margin is. Boone Politics says, why do you have a Trump hat on? No judgments, but just curious. I mean, I'm supporting Trump this cycle. That's mainly the main reason why I'm wearing it. As of right now, just, showing my political affiliation. That's all. 15.2% as of right now, the victory margin of victory for Tony. 15.2%. The Trump campaign mentioned Bismarck in their places to be in the center of the page. Could it mean that Trump picks Burgum as a VP? That would be interesting if he picked Burgum. I mean, it wouldn't be the worst choice, but I don't think he's eyeing him right now. I think more than likely he's probably eyeing like a Marco Rubio type. I think that's who he's going to try to set his eyes on. Uh, I think he is looking at Tim Scott, even though I don't want Tim Scott to be the VP again. I wouldn't not vote for him, but I think, I don't know. I would love to see Ben Carson be the VP. That'd be great. That would be great because that would cancel out the VP debate. Would be hilarious because Ben Carson would eviscerate her on that, on that debate. It would kind of erase the whole black card thing that she would try maybe to pull. Even though she's only like 25% black, like she likes pulling out this card. It's actually interesting. If you look up when she got inaugurated into the California Senate, she was inaugurated as the first Indian senator of the state of California. Or, yeah, she was inaugurated as the first Indian American woman into the Senate And when she became vice president, she was the first female black vice president. So I think it's pretty interesting that they like to kind of just change around whatever they want. So I think that's very interesting. I do find it really peculiar. It kind of reminds me of like AOC when she tries using that accent, like that, like, hey, what's up? Like accent in New York, like, dude, really? Like, come on. Like, you're New York. You shouldn't be losing your district. Why are you trying to pull this stuff? Like, why are you trying to pretend to have an accent that you don't in a district that's voted Democrat for like 100 years? Like, come on now. On point, I like the stream. So one thing you should try is have more fun reading the chat. Well, I'll try to go ahead and do that a little bit more. I'm like, oh, okay, well, all right, we have more results. Herrera gained 0.2%. It seems like Brandon is ahead in Crane County, which is a county that I actually have him winning. He's currently ahead there. So let's go ahead and pull this up over here. That barely added any votes, though. Barely added any votes. We see he's up right here. He's up here by 20 points. He's up here by 20. And in the last election, if we pull that up, Crane was like a 15-point win for Tony. So that's a big shift there. That's a huge shift in that county. Really, really big shift. Medina, wait, what? Crockett is really close. Herrera is up there supposedly, and I actually have Tony. I actually have Tony winning that county, and apparently that county has Herrera up by like 3 votes and 95% of the votes in. So I was very, very close to getting that right. So it seems like I ended up getting that county wrong. So I guess what I'll do is like, if I end up getting a county wrong, oh, that was not good. I accidentally just deleted all the counties that I had for Tony. That's not great. Let me go ahead and add them back in. Um Okay, I think I might have fixed it. Yeah. And so Crockett, he is up, but I thought that one was going to be close actually. I actually thought that was going to be really close too. So Edwards, I have Brandon winning that as of right now. Maverick, I have that as a Tony victory. It's really close. Like, it's probably going to be close, but I have it as a Tony victory right now. So far, I have this county wrong as of right now. Oh, okay. Well, we've just found out why only 41% of the votes in. If we look at Bexar County, it's actually only 55% in. It's only 55% in, so that does change the dynamics of the race. Originally, they said it was 80% in. Now it is at 55%. So breaking news, guys, only 55% of Bexar County's in, and that was the county that essentially, has the most votes. And they basically, my total turnout just increased by 4,000 votes. So most of that should be coming out of Bexar once they report more. So depending on how close Brandon can get that, he may have a shot at pulling this out. He may have a shot, but I do think Bexar probably does end up pulling it out. In Virginia, Trump just endorsed John McGeer for Senate. Thought he endorsed Hung Cao. Hung Cao should get it within 2 points. Well, I don't know, because the polling's looked bad there. The polling right now looks bad for Hung Cao in Virginia. I actually updated my prediction to have him up by like, I think he loses by like 3 or 4. Because the polling there is like ridiculously bad. The only reason why I have him only losing by under 5, is because of the fact that The only reason why. Okay, well, I saw something update here. So, okay, these counties are the counties that are all in. These are the ones that are all in. So we'll look at Sutton first. So let's find Sutton County. Let's go ahead and find Sutton. So over 95% in, Gonzalez ahead there by 4. He won that county by 23. Or not even. He won it by 33 points. So that's a big difference. And if we look, he got 355 votes there. Herrera got 189. Herrera is at 158, but Tony is at 169. So, uh, again, it's still early, but I think this may be closer than expected. That's why I did say I think Herrera might lose by 8 or 7. That's what I gave. So I think that might hold up. I think that might hold up because I think Tony's going to hold up his margin in the San Antonio County, which is basically going to carry him to a victory, essentially. Now, if Brandon does get this closer, like if the new vote dump has him within 5 in the county, then Herrera might actually have a shot at winning. Crane, which is over 95% in, he's up by 20 points. Here, Tony won that by way more. Herrera's down quite a bit, though. But I mean, he only went down like a couple votes. So you're noticing right now, you're noticing that Herrera is losing way less support than Tony is. Tony's turnout is dropping quite significantly. You're talking about being at 231 votes to only being at 64. Meanwhile, Herrera is at 110 here and he's at 95 here. Like, that's a big drop off for Tony. And Tony spent like $4.3 million on this race in ads, and Herrera only spent like 700,000. And Herrera seems to be holding up his base somewhat decently. We're actually only 43% in, and Herrera is like almost halfway to getting to his original vote total. So, I mean, we'll see what happens, but that's a bad sign for Tony. That's a bad sign. But again, I still think that it's going to be an 8 or 7 point win for Gonzalez. That I think is going to definitely happen. We'll look at the other results for now just to see. Kenneth, he's still up by 3, and it's 54% of the votes in, 53% of votes here. Craig is up by 30 still. 43% of the votes in. Tony's still up by quite a bit. District 28, he's up by almost 30, 42%. Allen's up by 10 with 54% in. If we look Stewart, 33% in, he's up by a lot. And if we look here, Stephen Wright is 19% in, and he's up by around 5. So that's what we are seeing. Never ending error. I mean, right now, he seems to be outperforming in a couple places. Like, I actually had Tony winning this county, and 95% of the votes in there, and Herrera is up by 3. Now, okay, well, alrighty then. So we do have some more votes. So, okay, so Herrera gained like 0.1%, and the El Paso County just came in with half the votes reporting, and we already see that Terrell is basically done counting. Herrera's at 76. You see, Herrera actually gained votes in this county, funny enough. Tony went from being at 74 to being at 38. So it's essentially like the opposite of what it was, plus even more. Now, Tony is up here, which I actually have Brandon picking this county off, so I may be wrong. It is within 4, so maybe Brandon does take the lead in the next vote dump, possibly. But I may be wrong there. I may be wrong. But it does seem like, for whatever reason, we do have Tony like barely pulling it out. in this county with half the vote in. I just don't know how Herrera gained 0.1%. I don't know where he would have gotten that from. Sutton County, if we look at Sutton, 355, he's all the way down to 169. Brandon held on to most of his votes. He's only down around like 29 votes. So yeah, this is kind of interesting. I'm still projecting I think that not projecting, but I think Tony Gonzalez is winning, but this is definitely a lot closer than I thought. And now that only 55% of the vote is in Bexar, I kind of have to wait until that's mostly in. Like once that's mostly in, I'll probably be able to project the race, but oh, well, okay. Herrera gained 0.4%. We have Kidney County, 65%. He's up there, and I have that county going to Brandon. I have him up there. In Winkler County, Tony's up by 30 points with 71% of the vote in there. I have Brandon up there, but I guess maybe Tony held on to most of his support, but Brandon did gain a couple points. He did gain a little bit there. He did gain for sure. El Paso hasn't reported anything new. Crane is all in. These counties haven't really reported anything new either. But again, the race is narrowing up. 56.9 minus, 43.1, 13.8. So we're getting closer and closer to that 8-point margin for Gonzalez. We're getting closer and closer. Now, again, the reason why you're seeing these such minimal shifts despite Herrera winning these counties by like the opposite margins of the previous election is because these population areas are way smaller than Bexar, and if Bexar comes in and he's winning that by a lot, and is winning Medina and Uvalde by a lot, then he's going to be able to win the race. But if Herrera gets these within a couple points, like if in Medina in the next dump, if that gets within 5 and this gets within 20 and this gets within 20, then there is a shot for Herrera to win. But he would have to get really good margins in some of these. And even here, Tony's severely outperforming there, actually. He's actually doing better in that county than he even did in the first round. 71% of the votes in there. So I think he's going to hold on to that county. So I might have been wrong with that one. But again, this was a last minute stream. Not last minute, but this is a race I hadn't really been covering too much per se. And, if I would have looked at all the counties and seen how they would, I probably would have gotten this more accurate. But we're still waiting. Play browser games while waiting for results. I'm not going to go ahead and do that. A lot of people are here for me to analyze the results. Tony Leah says every dump is good for Herrera. I mean, basically all the dumps for the past couple of minutes, at least the last half hour, all the dumps have been pretty good. We saw Tony get up to like almost 60%. Oh, more votes are in, and it was basically a wash. Nothing really changed. I wonder what area reported more votes though. I think these counties reported more votes. I think some of these some of these reported more votes. I think Jeff Davis reported more votes or something like that. Oh, also you do see here Dimmitt County's 33% and Herrera's up there by a couple points. Do I have that going? We do see Dimmitt County. I do have it going to him. So that county I did get correct. So I did get that one right. So that's interesting. So I do actually have that county correct. Hmm. It is 9:06 on the East Coast as of right now, and we are currently waiting for more results. We are at 48% of the results reported for this election as of right now. It is extremely close, and Herrera is picking up half a point as of right now. this county came in, Herrera did gain slightly more votes, and we do see Upton also gain votes. He's winning that by almost 50 points, or 40 points, actually. If we go ahead and look at that, I do have that county going to Brandon. I also have him winning Hudspeth County. I guess that's how you pronounce it. I also have him picking that off, too. Still waiting for more out of the El Paso district. But we do see Herrera is closing the gap here. However, again, I still think that Tony is favored to win here. Loving County, that's literally the name. 69% of the vote is in, and he's up by 12. And where do I have that going? I have that going to Brandon. So I may have underestimated him in this like northern part of the district. Again, no new votes out of Bexar as of right now, but the race has narrowed up. 56.4 minus 43.6. That's a 12.8 percentage point victory for Gonzalez now. And I said 8 or 7 points would be around the victory. So we are getting there. We are getting closer to that. We're getting closer and closer to that. Jay Furman has officially been projected to win the race as of right now. There, we also see that, Steve Wright, no new votes out of there. Daryl Day, no new votes out of there. No new votes out of the 31st district. The 12th district, no new votes out of there as of right now. The same thing goes for the 7th district. So all eyes are on the 23rd district as of right now. Now, let's see what counties have actually fully reported already. Crockett, where would that be? I'm actually gonna try to see where will that be. Where's Crockett? Okay, so it was a 3 point, essentially a three, but not even. That's like a 2 point win actually for Brandon. That was close. That was really close. 2 point victory there, and you see, like, look at this. Like, Herrera is at 79. He was at 99, so he lost 20 votes. But Gonzalez went from being at 322 votes to being at 76 votes. So you're seeing Tony severely underperform here. Now, again, he did win by around 20, over 20 points here. He won by like 20.5 here. So it is a way bigger difference than him only winning by 8. So since I do have him winning by 8, it is expected that Herrera is going to be winning a couple counties here and there. But the race honestly hinges on this county. Like I said, that's basically what I said from the start. The entire race, it literally hinges on that one county. If that county gets closer, or if Herrera is competitive there, Herrera has a shot at winning the race. He definitely would have a shot because really only 2,000 votes separate both candidates. And if he can get this within, if he gets that tied, that basically narrows the gap by quite a bit. That would narrow the gap quite significantly. However, I don't think that's going to be the case as of right now. We are seeing more votes kind of dump in. The county map that I have projected so far is seeming to be pretty accurate. Actually, it's not that bad. We are actually seeing the county map being pretty similar. I'll see what counties I got wrong. So far, I've gotten around 4 wrong, as of right now, but most of them are correct. So we'll be waiting for votes to report here as of right now. But guys, make sure if you guys are tuning in, make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure to go ahead and follow the Twitter and join the Discord in the description down below. As of right now, we're still waiting for more results out of this Senate race. This was a very, fought for battle. Brandon Herrera, really tried his best with this, even though he was outspent, by a couple points. Almost half the vote is in, and Tony's only up by 2,000 votes. So unlike here, where Tony was up by 10,000. So again, it's a big difference. It's a huge difference. It's a humongous difference compared to before. We see all these races. Essentially, none of the vote totals have even updated in any of the races right now, and we still have the runoff. I'm actually curious to see what chat's saying right now. Tony sucks. Yeah, that is true. Um, in 2020, Tony won in a runoff with 100 votes. Really? Oh wow. He won by 100 votes in a runoff in 2020. Oh, huh, interesting. I should have known that. If I would have known that before I made my prediction, I probably would have had this. I would have probably had it closer. If I would have known that, I probably would have only had him winning by 4-3 if I would have known that. Maybe he only wins by 5-4-3, but you know he's still up by 12. So now we're just waiting. I hate it when it's like the pause in between, like between these. Like it's just annoying. Like when you have to pause. Um, essentially for a little bit. But currently, guys, my model for the election, just looking at it really quick, essentially, it does project it projects, oh man, I just deleted the map by accident. If there are more results, just let me know in the chat. If we look at the presidential map, we'll see something very peculiar. Trump is up despite, the approval ratings changing ever so slightly. We do see Trump still up in the electoral college by a lot. He's still winning, Iowa, Indiana. He's still winning all these states by quite a bit. He's winning Texas by 16. He's winning, Ohio by, 19.7. He's up in Iowa by 19.1. He's up in Florida by 16.3. So you are seeing, big shifts there, from 2020 as of right now. California, Hawaii, DC, Maryland, Massachusetts, Vermont. I wouldn't really expect those per se. We do have more results, and wow, that narrowed up a lot. That actually narrowed up quite a bit. Bexar County, oh, that's concerning for Tony. That's actually really concerning for Tony because they haven't even reported votes. They haven't even reported votes out of Bexar yet. And the race just narrowed up. Let's see the county map that I have right now. Okay, so that county is correct. Those two are correct. This county is also correct. He's up there by quite a bit. Um, wow. Okay, so he's actually almost got it within 10 points. Now, if the Bexar, now maybe what's going to end up happening is he's going to perform well here, but Tony may improve in Bexar. So we'll see what ends up happening. Right now, only 9.8% for Gonzalez. He's only up by 9, so he's up by less than 10%. And this is around the margin of victory that I kind of have it. I have it at 8 or 7 points for Gonzalez, and that was just kind of a very quick analysis. I had him winning by 8 or 9, or 8 or 7, around that range, 7 8 points. That's kind of what I had the race at. So hopefully I get it right. Almost all the counties have at least reported one result. So we'll see what happens. Again, no votes out of here. 54% of the vote has been tallied up. We'll wait for more results to come out. Essentially, the likely Democratic states, Washington, Oregon, Alaska would be safe. Colorado, Illinois, those are likely. Connecticut, Delaware, Rhode Island, New Jersey, those are likely Democratic states. Maine's first, Maine's second. Those are safe for both parties, as well as New York being likely. And then you have North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, Michigan, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania being likely. Minnesota and New Hampshire are still lean. Virginia is now lean Democrat alongside Maine. If we look at Nebraska's second congressional district, it's exactly a 5-point win, and New Mexico is really close. It is a 0.1 percentage point victory for Biden. The popular vote is now a 5.5 percentage point victory for Donald Trump, according to the model as of right now. No new results reported thus far. However, the race has significantly narrowed up from before. And if this county, man, if Bexar County comes in and Brandon starts outperforming there, the race can definitely become competitive. And I said that the best case scenario for this was Brandon by 2 or 3. That was the window that I gave him. And honestly, I don't even think Tony can even win the race by 15 anymore. I think his max victory right now could probably only be like 12, possibly, as of right now. I think it could probably be like maybe 12 or 13 would be his max win. based on this. That's probably his max victory in this. And I guess Herrera's map, I guess his possibility of range could be 3 or 4, but I don't think Herrera's gonna win this, unfortunately. So right now, this is what my map currently projects for the 2024 presidential election. Trump barely loses New Mexico. He wins, basically wins Minnesota. He wins New Hampshire, which would make sense because he did win. Biden only won these by 7 points. Maine at large would make sense because Biden won it by 9. Virginia was a 10-point victory. So this realistically does kind of make sense now. And all the aggregates do factor in third party support. So this is including third-party voters. If I were to use the one-way aggregate for all of the state polls and the national environment, this will look a lot different. If we were to actually go ahead and do that, this would look slightly different. If we go to RCP and look at the head-to-head matchup, Trump's up by 1.1%. That's a 5.6 percentage point victory. Or not even. Is that even? I don't even think it is. Oh, it is 5.6. So if you were to shift that back, Minnesota would actually still go red. New Mexico would be half a point. The national environment would be exactly 5. New Hampshire would still go red. Virginia would be lean. So that's pretty interesting. So even in a head-to-head matchup, Trump is still winning by 5. No new results out of the congressional district as of right now. He is still no new results with 54% of the vote in. Stephen Wright has lost a little bit of ground. They did report new votes. Stewart more than likely ends up winning his race. I'll literally call that race right now. Stewart Whitlow's projected to win the 31st district in the Democratic primary runoff. Allen, that's too early to call. Same thing for the 23rd district, the 12th district. I'll go out on a limb and say that Craig Goldman wins. And Kenneth and Caroline, their race is pretty close as of right now. More results, and it was essentially a wash. It didn't really affect any. It was a very small dump. There was a very slight dump, I think, in Bexar. There was like a very small dump there. It didn't really change the vote percentage significantly. So we are seeing, there's only 5 counties left to report votes, but as of right now, we do see Donald Trump, even in a head-to-head matchup, he'd still be winning. He'd still be winning Minnesota by a lean margin, which is crazy. He'd still be winning it by a lean margin according to this. That's insane. Now, it kind of depends, honestly. It really depends, because honestly, in a head-to-head matchup, I'd say the popular vote's probably tied. It shifts the popular vote 4.5. So if we were to look at it that way, then you would see Maine at large be lean. You'd see Minnesota be tilt Democrat, which if you apply the 2020 polling error to it, you would actually see Minnesota be around that margin. New Hampshire would be tilt Dem. New Mexico would be lean. You'd have Pennsylvania be a 6.8, Wisconsin 7.5, Virginia 3.5%. So somewhere around there. So the margin of victory per se doesn't change way too much. It's still 313 per se. Nothing, no new results out of there. No new results out of there as of right now. I'll actually go ahead and do this. So if he's ahead by 1.1% and there's no third-party candidates, I'd expect the popular vote to maybe be Trump plus 1.5. So we could say that's a 5.5 percentage point. Well, no, that'd be a 5-point shift to the right. So with that being said, essentially Trump would be winning this. So in a head-to-head matchup, this is basically what I would have. So we're going to fill it out really quick here. As we are waiting for more results out of the 23rd congressional district out of Texas. We're going to see these states are going to all be safe Republican, as well as Ohio, West Virginia, Iowa. You're going to see all of those be safe. Ohio is still an 18-point win, and Iowa is still, if you look at it, Iowa, where is it? Hold on, where is Iowa? 17. Now, Florida does go below the safe margin ever so slightly in a head-to-head matchup, and I would think Texas would do the same, 13.8%. So it's around there. So they did fall into the likely category. Now, Georgia and Arizona would be around the same margin. They'd be a likely margin of victory. North Carolina, as of right now, if we were to go ahead and look at that, it would be around, let's look at it, 9.8% margin of victory. California would be safe. Washington would be a 12.9 percentage point victory. Oregon would be 10.1%. No new results as of right now. Hawaii would be safe. Alaska would still be safe, I believe. The national environment, 3.8% for Trump. And we have Alaska 16.6, so it's right above the safe category as of right now. New Mexico, if you go to New Mexico, it's a 2.2 percentage point victory for Biden. Colorado's a likely state, 8.4 percentage points for Biden as of right now. Nevada, still a likely margin of victory. And Illinois is like around a 9-point victory. Safe margin in Maine's first. Once again, still safe. And then you have Maine second being safe. Maine at large is lean Democrat. New Hampshire is really close, though. New Hampshire is really close. It's still Democrat. So it is competitive there. You do have something pretty close. And you have New York would be right above the safe category. So New York would be just above safe. It'd be right above the safe margin. Virginia, 2.8 percentage points for Biden. That's around where the polling has it. And then you have Wisconsin, being 8-point victory, Michigan or Pennsylvania being a 7-point win, and then Michigan is 5.9. So you'd see the Rust Bowl be likely. And then Minnesota would actually be really close. That'd be tilt Republican there. And Nebraska's second would be a 3.2 percentage point victory for Trump. So in a head-to-head matchup, it seems like he is winning 323 still, according to my model. And in a head-to-head matchup, he's actually winning 327 because he picks up New Hampshire. So that's really what we're looking at there. And then some of the margins are a little bit more padded in his favor. We have more results out of here. We see that Herrea gains 0.1% in the election. I don't know exactly where that came from. You probably saw, I think Dimmitt is where the results came from because now it's 95% in as of right now. Bexer's still nothing, so that was a very minimal dump, but that did kind of end up helping it out. Now Tony Gonzalez is only ahead by 1.8k votes, and the margin of victory for this, if we actually go ahead and look at this, it's 9.6, so it is narrowing up. It is narrowing up ever so slightly as of right now. It is in fact narrowing up. And the county map is looking pretty similar to what I have here. It's looking somewhat similar. So we'll be waiting for more results. But this is what a head-to-head matchup would look like according to my model. And the third-party matchup with the third parties does look a little bit worse for Trump. Now, again, the polling aggregates would be different. So that also as well, that'd make a big difference. And I think I'm going to have to go through the aggregates again. But as of right now, we do see Trump is ahead by around 3.2. And if we have, the polling being at around here, yeah, something like this. Yeah, this is something around here essentially. And I actually forgot to put this back. What would that end up being? Oh, well, never mind. .7. So we put that back, and essentially Trump's actually ahead of New Mexico. I guess I might have forgotten to fix that. So actually, never mind. According to my model, Trump's actually ahead of New Mexico, like ever so slightly. That's funny. I don't know what That's weird. I don't know what I did there. I guess I probably had the wrong number for that. Oh man, I just clicked out of the results. Okay, well, there was another vote dump. He gained like 0.1%. Oh, I think that was the vote dump previously. So he literally gained like 0.1% there. He literally gained like 0.1. Hmm. Hmm. All right. So what we can do for now, just to kind of have chat entertain while we wait for results, um, we'll actually do a scenario where Donald Trump ends up running against Kamala Harris. This is going to be interesting to look at the data with because she is performing significantly worse in polling averages and approval ratings. So that's going to end up being bad. If we look at the real clicks, the real clear politics, polling average for this, we're actually going to find the average versus Harris RCP. If we go and look at this, he is up by 6.6%. And this is a head-to-head matchup, by the way. This is not even with third-party candidates. This is not even with third-party candidates, and he's up by this much already. And that's a way bigger shift there. That's a humongous shift. And if we look at Harris's approval rating, Harris approval rating, she is down 11.4, which is interesting. Let's look at RCP. 14.8. So this would theoretically go down there. And then if you go here, right now, if we look at it, she's at 39.1. Trump, favorability wise, if we look at Trump favorability, he might be sitting at 43.1 still. Oh, he's actually at 42.9. So I'm going to have to update the new model. So 42.9 minus 40.5 is only 2.4 now. So I have to take a chat. Her rises or falls with Bexer. Yeah, basically, that's pretty much what happens. Like if that's basically what's going to decide the race. Like if that county ends up getting closer, then Brandon has a shot. But if that county stays that same margin, Brandon's going to end up losing by the margin that I basically suggested. Now Trump, if you look at this 42.9 minus 39 point, what is it? 133.8. And if we look, 45 plus, let's say, or 4.5 plus 3.8, that's a 8.3 percentage point difference. So that gives us the final results between Trump and Harris, and they are nuts. So he is winning. Wow. So he's up in Wisconsin by 13, Pennsylvania by 12. He's up in North Carolina by a safe margin. So we'll fill out the safe Republican states. This is looking abysmal for Harris. This is looking bad. This is looking really bad for Harris. He's up in North Carolina by a safe margin. He's up in Texas by a safe margin. California is a 19.5 percentage point victory. Hawaii is still safe, Democrat. Colorado is actually a lean margin for Harris. So she's down by a couple points, which is hilarious. And then Washington, Oregon, 9.5, 6.5 respectively. New Mexico is a 3.4 percentage point win for Trump. That's huge. New Hampshire, 4.1 percentage point victory there. Minnesota, 4.6. So it's almost likely, guys. So Trump is up there by almost a likely margin. Georgia, he's up there by 11.6. Arizona, he's up by 11.2. Nevada, he's up by 13.8 in Nevada. In Illinois, Harris is still up there by a likely margin. Virginia, Trump's up there by 2 points. And in New Jersey, it's actually below 5. So she's within a couple points of winning it. And looking at the rest of these, they're going to be likely. New York is a 12-point victory for Harris. Safe means first congressional district still, I believe. Maine's second is 25-point victory, which would be a huge shift. And Maine at large is lean. So Donald Trump, in this scenario, is winning. Nebraska second by 8.6. So that's a 347 electoral votes to Kamala Harris's 191. That's what we're looking at there. And with Newsom, forget it. Newsom, forget it. The current data that we have out of some of the swing states look really bad for Trump and Newsom. Like Newsom is doing horrible in some of the polling. Like I think he's down in Wisconsin by like 18 in a poll. Like that's like unthinkable to even be down by that much. 55% of the votes in. You know, still nothing. Still nothing new. The margin of victory as of right now, you know, if we were to go ahead and calculate that, 9.6 for Tony Gonzalez right now. So 2.4. I'm assuming, you know, 2.4 plus 4.5, that is 6.9%. Then you have 1.8. And we go ahead and do that. And that's going to be 6.3. So essentially, if we were to go ahead and fill that out and put that approval rating back to where it was before, now this should be the correct model because I just inputted the right numbers. And New Mexico goes back to Democrat, which I expect. And New Hampshire's tilt. Minnesota's still lean Republican. Virginia's lean. So yeah, okay, New Mexico went back. So that's kind of what I expect essentially. With that margin going back, because I hadn't checked Trump's approval rating in a while. So because it doesn't really change that much essentially. I will be right back, guys. So give me 1 second. I'm gonna put you guys in the waiting room. We will be covering more results. So give me 1 second. I will be right back. I am back, guys. So we are going to be looking at the results as of right now. We are 95 subscribers away from 12,000. So I will possibly be hitting that tomorrow. And we do see there are more results in. So Herrera is narrowing the gap. And they have not even reported any results out of the county that I said that they should be reporting results out of. That would be the major decider in this whole thing. They haven't even reported any results out of it yet, which is insane. That is insane. Honestly, if they really got the race that close, like if the race ends up becoming close, that's gonna be interesting. It got closer, and they haven't even reported any votes out of Bexar County. Dimmitt, it's literally the opposite margin from the last election. It's literally the exact opposite margin from the previous map. It's literally the exact opposite. Dimmitt, literally like a 7-point win for Tony. It's 8 points right now. Yeah. Right, it's an 8.2 percentage point victory as of right now. He'd be winning it by, if the results were to stop, he'd be winning it by 8.2%. Now, again, you guys got to understand, they need to report a lot of votes out of Bexar. So once they report those votes, it's going to go from like 60 to 85% in. So I don't think that he's going to win. I don't think Herrera's going to pull this one out, guys. I'm letting you know right now. It would be nice if he would, but I'm really doubting he would. He needs to be up by more. He would have needed to be at around 48%. And you see, look, now it's getting closer. And I don't know where that vote dump just came out of, but it is getting closer. And we do see that county map is looking a little bit similar. As of right now, 62% of the votes in, but you guys got to understand, once Bexar comes in, that's going to decide the race. Because there's about, they got to report like about, let's actually tally that up and see what we're looking at there. If we go there, right, Bexar County, it should be, okay, it's right here. So 9,000 votes have been reported, and it's 63%. So if we go to Mathway and do my basic, simple equation on how to figure this out, if we go over here, 0.63 equals x divided by 1. So the estimated turnout is around 14,000 there, 14.4 thousand. So they need to report approximately, there's around 5,000 more votes that need to be reported. And once that's in, that's basically going to decide the race. And right now, 63% of the vote is in the state, and around 20,000 votes are in. And so if you were to get that and find the estimated turnout's around 32,000 now. So once they report those 5,000 votes, it's essentially going to decide the race there. It's effectively going to decide the race. It is getting closer, but I think Tony is going to pull it out, but we still can't project it yet because it's still too close. Once Bexar comes in, that's going to be a lot of the votes, and from there I'll probably be able to project the race. Now, it is closer than what I said it's going to be. Well, actually, let's check the margin and see where we're at right now. It's a 7.2 percentage point victory for Gonzalez. So 7.2 percentage point victory for Gonzalez so far. But I feel like the vote dumps would have needed to have been better initially for there to be a chance for Brandon to win. Now, we are at a point where it is possible for him to win. I definitely think it is possible he picks off this race. But I think, again, just like I said, the window 13, at this point, I don't even think a 13-point win for Gonzalez is possible. I'd say a 10-point win is more in the range. And then you'd have, basically Gonzalez up, or Herrera could win it by 2 or 3 at most. And that's on a really good day. That's on a really, really good day. So we'll see what happens. Anyone from Texas 23rd in the chat? I mean, it would be pretty cool if we actually end up that would be interesting. That would be interesting if we had somebody from there. 90 miles per hour winds in Texas today, close to Dallas on this morning. Lots of hail yesterday. Oh, Greg Abbott endorsed Tony. Oh boy. More vote dumps, was basically a wash. Didn't even add a percentage to the vote totals. We're literally the only county that we're basically waiting out of is Ward County, which I currently have that going to Brandon as of right now. But based out of uh Gonzalez's outperformance in these northern counties here, I'd say maybe Ward possibly goes. Let me check the stats here. Oh well, it was a 17-point win for for Gonzalez, and there was a lot of votes for him there. So maybe he holds on to it, considering that he did outperform here. But we'll see. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But again, the race is closer now. It's only like a 7.2 percentage point victory for Gonzalez. Now, if Gonzalez wins by 3 or 4, I mean, that wouldn't be that bad either, because I'd be within the margin of error, essentially. So that wouldn't be bad. Herrera's getting closer to his 14,000 vote total. He's getting closer. He's getting close to that. He may end up either getting to that or underperform ever so slightly, especially since they need to report 5,000 votes out of here, and it just really depends on who ends up getting the rest of the batch there. Now, it does say 63% of the votes are reported there now instead of 66, and the margin is only 58% to 42%, so that may have narrowed up the race. That might have caused the narrowing up, but really the whole race depends on that county. If Herrera can outperform there and get that county within 10, then more than likely he could probably pull this out. But he needs to get it within 10. If a batch comes in and Gonzalez is winning there by a lot, then it's over. It would essentially be over. But again, I'm not making any projections yet. Still, even for a race like this, is still too early. I mean, I'm betting on Gonzalez, but we are at 11,907,000 subscribers. We are only 93 subscribers away from 12K. We have gained a lot of support in the past week or so. We've been doing very, very great. The channel has been doing great. Literally last week, we were at 10.3 and we're about to hit 12K right now. So we've gained a decent amount of an audience in the past, week or so. And no results are coming in. Now, so this is my Kamala Harris / Trump map. Now, I mean, we could look at some national data really quick here, because we could actually go to 538. They do have national data with some other candidates that are not even Harris or Biden. So we'll try to look at these really quick. I know they came out recently, so we'll go ahead and look at those really quick. Let's see if we can find them. Where are they? No, they were done in like March or April. That I know for sure. I know they were done in like March or April. Where are they? Damn, Kennedy beats Biden on the national level by 7, and he's up on the popular by 1 on Trump. That is weird. Only 1,400 votes separate. Oh, wow, that's crazy. Only 1,400 now. That's insane. I'm trying to find the other ones here. Oh, look. You see, like, this was interesting. Like, they did a national poll with both candidates, and Trump is beating, like, look at this. Like, I don't know why they did this. They have Kennedy, Trump, and Biden. They're tied, right? And then what they did is they put Kanye West as the Republican nominee here. And it is a humongous victory, and Kennedy would probably end up winning a couple states. Swift loses to Trump by 17 points with Kennedy on the map, which is hilarious. That's funny. She's down 17 points on Trump nationally. I found that pretty hilarious. But I do want to find those polls because we did have a bunch of polls where they pulled Trump against a bunch of Democratic candidates and he was beating Newsom by like 17 or something like that. Like something crazy. Like he was beating them by a lot. I wonder where those polls are. There's a Michelle Obama poll where Trump's up by 3. Trying to eye them down here. Okay, found them. So basically, you have Harris, Trump is up on, let me see, it's Emerson College that actually did this, by the way. Emerson College actually did this. So with third-party candidates, Trump in February does a point better with them. Trump in a head-to-head is ahead by Harris by 3. Against Newsom, he's up by 10. And this is the only national poll we have. And so if we were to apply this, it would be a 14.5 point shift. And the problem with this is that we can't really change this because essentially what probably would happen in this scenario is that they'd kind of put him in the convention, but Biden would still be the sitting president. So we can't really change the approval rating per se. But here we could kind of guesstimate what a popular vote victory would be. I'd say Trump probably wins the popular vote by 6 against him. I'd say that would be something in range. So if that were to occur, we'd have a map where Trump ends up winning the popular vote by 12, which is ridiculous. He wins by 12, and I'm going to actually do the map for this just to show you how bad my model has Gavin Newsom losing the 2024 election. We're going to look at this. California is still a 17-point win for Newsom. He still wins it by 17. So, 17-point win in California. Hawaii, if we look at it, let's check the results here. Okay, so we have more results out of the race. It did narrow up. So, Herrera gains 0.3%. Nothing out of Bexar County yet. And I'm not exactly sure where that vote dump came from, but the race did narrow up. And it's within a couple points. And right now, Herrera's only down by 6.6%. So the margin is lower than before. So we'll see. It is narrowing up ever so slightly. So we'll see what that final result ends up being. And for the safe states, Trump is going to kill Newsom with the safe states. We could basically put Texas and Florida down as safe without even a second thought. Texas is a 25-point win. North Carolina, he's up by 20. In Georgia, he's actually up by exactly 15 in Georgia. And in Arizona, he's up by exactly 15 points. It's almost likely, but it's not. So he's up by 15, according to the model. Nevada, 17.8 percentage points. Merle, my prediction was Herrera was gonna be winning by around 7 or not Herrera, excuse me. My prediction for this was that Tony was gonna hold on by like 7 or 8 points, and right now he's ahead by 6.6% with 64% of the vote in. But we have yet to have gotten more votes out of Bexar County. So that's the thing. We have yet to get votes out of there. So that's the main thing that we're looking at. And usually places tend to count the in-person vote before the early vote, so it's a little bit concerning, but we'll be monitoring the results there. But with this Newsom map, I mean, he is getting destroyed. Like, all the former swing states are now safe. Like, Wisconsin is a 17-point victory. And for you guys, oh my God, what? That's impossible. There's no way. There's no way that could happen. There's no way that Trump would be beating him there by 17. Well, if we actually go and look at Wisconsin and we go all the way down to February in the state, I don't know why it's being so difficult, but let's actually go. We'll go back. Let's look at it February. Look at Newsom. Trump is up by 9 points on Newsom. By 9 points. He's up 9 on Newsom. That's abysmal. That is absolutely abysmal. Simple polling error from 2020, which was around a 7.8 percentage point miss. If you were to apply that, Trump's up by like 16, and the model has him up 17 points. So, I don't know, man. Pennsylvania would be 16.5. Michigan is 14.7. So that's actually the only likely state from the major swing states. It's still likely, but that's it. Alaska is a 26.7 percentage point win. Okay, another dump came in. Herrera gained 0.1 percentage points from that. Another dump just came in. So he gained a lot there. If we look at Washington, Biden's up, or Newsom would be up by 6.6. Oregon would be lean Democrat here. Colorado is literally 1.6% there. 1.6, that's it. New Mexico, 7.5 percentage point victory for Trump. Hawaii is a 14.2 percentage point victory for Newsom. Illinois would be a lean margin. It'd be a 2.6% margin. Virginia would be a 5-point win for Trump. He'd win it by 5. And Minnesota would be a 7.8 percentage point victory. New Hampshire would be 7.3 for Trump. New Jersey would be a lean margin for Newsom. He'd be up by a lean margin. And in New York, it's less than 10. He'd be up by less than 10. Vermont is safe. Well, yeah, it's safe, but and then Massachusetts, Maryland, of course, those are safe. DC would be safe. Connecticut and Delaware, they're likely, but Delaware's almost lean. And Rhode Island is 7.9%. And Nebraska's second is a 12.5 point victory. And if we look at Maine at large, Trump would be up there by 4 points. And it would just be a disaster. Even the Maine's first congressional district would be likely. So you have the same result as the Harris election. Like the result would be the same, but Trump's margins in the states would be way better than before. Again, no new results. 65% of the votes in. Still no new results as of right now. But the race is actually narrowing up here ever so slightly. So we are waiting for some results to come in there as of right now. Even that West County in El Paso hasn't reported any votes yet. This is taking quite a while to report. I mean, the polls closed at 8 and it's been 2 hours and 65% of the votes in. So that's essentially what that's showing. So Newsom and Harris will lose by the same amount, but Newsom's popular vote defeat would be way worse. That's basically what it is. And so let's see here. It was 1.4, which is 6.6. And then there we go. So my current model has Trump winning or losing New Mexico, and he wins New Hampshire. Minnesota 1.1, Wisconsin 9.1. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Again, nothing out of the 23rd congressional district as of right now. It does continue to get closer. I did say he was going to outperform quite significantly in the west side of the. Oh, that barely changed anything. There was some literally 20 votes were added to the tally. Literally 20 votes were added. That barely changed anything. Let me actually ask chat. Let's go ahead and poll chat and see what chat thinks. Like, who's going to end up winning this? Let's see what chat actually thinks about this. So, we're going to go ahead and poll everybody. So, let's start a poll. We're going to say, all right, Who wins this race? Let's see what ends up. Let's see what people say. So you guys can go ahead and answer the poll right now. Okay. All right. So two. Okay. We're gonna let that run for just a second. All right. So about 70 guys have answered. Seems like chat's pretty divided on who's gonna win as of right now. But we're gonna go ahead and just wait. Um, let people answer that poll. Still nothing yet. Still nothing yet out of there. Let's see what chat is saying. Damn. Okay, so essentially 14 people have voted in this, and it's close, but people think that Brandon might be able to pull it out. As of right now, I think Tony's favored to win still, just because we really don't know what's out of this county here. This is what I'm mainly looking at, and this is what I said at the beginning of the stream was going to be the most important factor in this race was that county based on how many people are there. It's a big area, populated area there. So that is definitely going to be a big factor in this race. Still 65% of the vote is in right now. So we are waiting for more results to come in. Once that county reports the rest of its votes, it'll go up to like 85% votes in. Like that basically makes up almost all the votes that are left. So still have a couple counties that are not fully reported, but that county is essentially going to be the main county that. And actually, what's interesting, we could look at some of these counties now that have finished reporting. This county voted for her by 22 points, and here it voted for Tony by like the opposite. And we see here Herrera actually only dropped 40, but Tony went down like like a lot. He went down like quite a bit actually. That's insane. He dropped like over 200 points. That is nuts. Here, let's look at the count. This one's not done yet. What county can I look at that's basically done counting their votes? That I have not looked at. Zaval County was literally decided by 2 points. What did I have that going as? I had that going for. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I need to watch that. Ooh, I need to watch that. Two. So literally, it was a 2 vote victory there, and the last one, it voted for him by quite a bit. I was a little bit conflicted on that one, so I kind of gave it to, I gave it to Tony. So my county map is somewhat similar. Like I wasn't too off. There were some places where I was a little bit off. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll definitely see what happens. Everybody in chat's like going Arizona Republican Party continues to fall apart. Oh boy. Every single one it gets closer. Everybody in the Discord is essentially really going nuts. Nothing yet there. We're still waiting. Nothing's coming out of there yet. We're literally still waiting. We got 32 people tuned in at 10 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you for the support. I really appreciate it. I'm getting tired already. We've been going for about 2.5 hours here. So this has been a pretty long stream. I'm not gonna lie. This has been probably one of my longer ones, but that's expected. I probably will have to head out in the next. Oh, more results. 0.1%. Oh man, it's getting even closer. They report. Oh wait, did they? No, they did not. They did not report votes from there. But Medina is getting closer. Medina's only like a 4-point win now, and Uvalde is actually. Oh guys, look. Uvalde is 91% in, and it's a 10-point victory for Tony. And I said he needs to get that one within 10 to have a chance. And right now, Medina is 70% in, and it's a 4-point victory for Tony. And it was a greater margin before. So he's catching up in some of these. He's definitely catching up. So there is a chance Brandon could actually pull this one out. He may be able to do it. He may actually pull it out. Medina was a huge victory. He won this county by 15 points. But honestly, I should have seen Brandon flipping that one coming. I honestly should have seen that coming. I don't know why I didn't realize. Let's look at the turnout. So Brandon Herrera probably outperforms his original vote total there, which is great. That would be good if that ends up happening. Nothing was reported out of Bexar either. Imagine it suddenly says projected winner Gonzalez. Oh my god, I'd be so sad. I'd be sad if that happened. But the race is almost within five. It's almost within 5 points. It is a 6.2 percentage point victory for Gonzalez as of right now. 6.2%. And Discord is yep, they're going. Absentee mail-in is still yet to be counted. Yeah, you see? That's yep. Yep, that's what I thought. That's what I was thinking. Article 5, how do you know that they haven't counted it yet? Where are you getting that report from? That they haven't counted the mail-in votes yet. Because I did mention that earlier on my stream that if it gets really close, Brandon would have needed to have been doing better in the beginning of the night to have a shot. I mean, he could do it because it's narrowing up, but if the mail-in votes are coming in for Tony pretty heavily, then that's going to be a problem. Now, Article 5, where did you get that information from? Like, if you could link it in the chat or explain where you got that information, I would appreciate it. Because if that's true, then her is basically cooked. Hmm. Almost 70% of the vote is in, and nothing yet. Just from common practice. Well, then no, we can't really go based off that because every state counts their votes differently. North Carolina counts all their mail-in ballots first, and then they count in person. That's why Biden was leading by like 5 in North Carolina in the beginning of the night in 2020. It's literally why. So, can't really go based off that. You really can't. I think by around 10:30ish is when I'm going to be wrapping it up, probably by around 10:30 or so is probably when I'm going to be wrapping up the live stream. But hopefully by then we have more results. But around 10:30, I'll probably be wrapping everything up. It's only 7 p.m. over here in Oregon. Yeah, yeah, it is. I once saw a guy with a hoodie that had a big middle finger on it with the words Joe Biden under it. I almost complimented him, but I wanted to. See, like all these counties have basically already reported. Reagan is the only one where he was able to win in a county that he won last time, and Sutton as well, and they were like all within a couple votes. Well, that seems like an error, actually. Oh yeah, I don't know why they haven't updated that. Hmm. Jason Christie for 2 says, "Have you seen Ricky Becker's D Mulvaney video?" No, I have not seen that. I don't know what you're talking about. If you want to explain it in chat, you can go ahead and do so. Yeah, this is getting close. It's getting close, but again, that county has not reported results, and that's a really important county to come in. Very, very important county. If that comes in, I mean, it did narrow up. I mean, it was 60-40, now it's 58-42. So, but if that doesn't narrow up, then Tony is basically on set to win. And at this point, once they report that, it's going to go from 67% of the votes in to like 89% of the votes in. Like, that's most of the votes that are left to be counted at this point. Even if we go ahead and do the math. So, again, we could do the same thing now. 67% is in, and 21,479 essentially that's what's in. So if we were to go ahead and do that, 32,000, so it's around there, but there's around 5,000 more votes to be reported out of Bexar County. So if we were to add whatever number that was to this total, you'd be at 26,000. And when you divide that by 3258, once that county reports fully, you're gonna literally, yeah, you see it goes, it's gonna go from like 67 to 83% of the vote in. So I was right. And it depends on, how many votes they still need to figure out are left from there. But we have still not gotten any new results as of right now. We have currently not gotten any new results from this race. I may go to 1020, 1025, and then from there I may be wrapping it up. But so far, I mean, it is close. It's closer than I expected it to be as of right now. I did think he was going to narrow up. Like, there was a lot of people talking about, Tony Gonzalez is going to win by 30. It's not going to happen. I knew that wasn't going to happen. I knew that Herrera was going to get a lot of votes. But he is doing better than I thought. Because I did have Gonzalez winning by 6 to 8 points. And it could still happen because if the vote dumps in Bexar help Tony out, he may go back up to being up by 10, and then the rest of the votes come in. He maybe wins 7, 8 points. Um, so let me look at chat. Yeah, I did read. Okay, yeah, I read Jason's comment already. I did go ahead and I already read that. We're just waiting on more and more votes right now. It is kind of going a little bit slow right now, essentially. Let's actually see what like a rep is talking about. Ready, go. Oh, look, he's right there. Uh-oh. Yeah, you cannot be serious. Oh, man. This guy thinks that Trump's going to do worse if he goes to jail. What is he saying?
Hasn't lost it. And oh, we have new votes.
Oh, are there new votes? Or maybe he was looking at another race. Let's
If
see.
you really want to be a CEO, want to be an entrepreneur, you should take the first step. Create the LLC. It doesn't really cost that much.
We're closing in. We're closing the gap. 15% to go. We'll see how it shakes, but this is too close to call, as some people said in chat. Merc IWNL
Oh, that's
for
another race that he's looking at. He's looking at another race, guys. Don't worry about that. I don't know why. I have my headphones plugged in and they're not. What? That was weird. All right. In 2020, Tony won by 6. I thought you said 100. Man, it is stressful waiting for results. They are taking forever. That is definitely true. They are taking forever. They are taking a pretty long time, to be honest. And we've been going for almost 3 hours now. Which this has been my longest stream in quite a long time, actually. So, and it's fine though, because election day is gonna end up being a 12-hour stream. I'm probably gonna end up streaming from like 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. We're gonna be up that whole night looking at results. It's gonna be very interesting to be staying up that night. We're gonna be seeing, the results all day long that day from 4 p.m. literally 2 hours before polls close all the way until 4 a.m. That's gonna be a crazy night looking at that. I believe on August 26th or 27th, there is the Miami-Dade mayor race. There is a mayorship race there, and I'm actually helping one of the candidates actually becoming the mayor. It's the Republican-esque candidate. It's a nonpartisan race, but he's effectively the Republican for the race, and you have Otaola, which is another Republican who's more MAGA, but he's polling really badly there. Manny Sid is performing significantly better, there as well. So I am going to actually plan on streaming that. No one else is probably going to stream that, but I'm going to go ahead and stream that anyway, myself. And we are just currently waiting for more results. We see that every county has basically reported results, so we are just basically waiting right now. For the last bit, it's just taking a long time. It is taking a very long time right now. That's all I can say. Alright guys, so you know what? I am actually gonna go ahead and end the stream as of right now. We did go for about 3 hours. Thank you for everybody who participated. I do have work in the morning, so I have to get up for work in the morning at like 7 o'clock. So, but either way, guys, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, make sure to go ahead and follow Twitter and join the Discord server in the description down below. And I will see you guys very, very soon.